Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Player Zone YouTube channel and to the favourite on the channel here. It's the prediction video for the Premier League. Really getting along with the season now. Gee, we're really pushing on. Matchweek 25 now. Some massive games, especially the big one at the top there, Manchester City hosting Chelsea. A lot of games also be interesting in terms of relegation permutations as well. So we've got a lot of good games to feast our eyes upon. And if it's anything like last week's games, I'll absolutely take that. There were some absolutely classics last week, some close games, some late winners, some superb performances. So cannot wait for it. Obviously, touching on last week, we came into last week with 143 of our prediction points, and we added 8 points with our predictions last week. So very happy with that. One of our stronger predictions in terms of points-wise in a long time, and I'll absolutely take that. So it takes our total now to 151 in the season. And if somehow you're new to the channel and you're wondering how the prediction points works here, it's 1 point for the correct result, 3 points for the correct scoreline predicted, obviously 0 for neither. So not too bad with the 8 points from last weekend. Definitely take it. Definitely helps us push ourselves in those points up. Before we jump into the predictions video, if you wouldn't mind liking, commenting, subscribing on this video, that would be much appreciated. It really helps the channel out. And we're really pushing for 400 subscribers. At the time of recording, I think we only need 5 more. So anyone subscribing would be much appreciated. And try and get to 400 before next week's podcast. That would really mean the world to me. That all being said, ladies and gents, let's get straight into the predictions now. Our first game of the weekend is in London. It is Brentford hosting Liverpool in what could be a bit of a banana skin for Liverpool here. Brentford coming to a bit of better form at the moment, playing some better football, and the key is they're scoring goals. Since Ivan Toney's come back, they've managed his 6 points with 2 big wins in there. They've taken a game to Manchester City, and they always look competitive in all the games they're playing in. I read the moment, it looks like Maupay and Toney are looking like that championship dynamic duo they were before they came up to the Premier League, and seeing the revitalisation of Maupay alongside Toney is quite dangerous for most teams. They don't play with much possession, but they're able to spring the counter-attack and be clinical in front of goal, which many teams lack that ability to. And you've got 2 great informed strikers, 2 strikers that can take the chances which they're given. You know, it's a problem and a handful for most sides, especially Liverpool, who will, throw numbers forward and get, their team on the halfway line there and try and be more expressive in the way they play their football. Obviously, last time out, Brentford got a very handy 2-0 win over Wolves, and a very impressive win at that, because Wolves are very good at home, we know that, and they play some great football as well. So to manage to get over the line in that fashion there, with in the 20s in terms of possession percentages, and also the limited chances they got, goes to show that this new sort of 3-5 back system is finally working, especially with Sergio Reguilon on the wing back position. It sort of suits him to a T, and it looks like Thomas Frank's finally worked out how this team can go forward. They've sort of branched away from the relegation zone. They look in better form, they look more confident on the football pitch, and the momentum right now is rolling. So them being back at home, a big club coming to them, we saw they cause City problems for the first half. They can cause Liverpool a bit of problems. They could get a result out of this game, because Liverpool in the last time out got a decent win over Burnley, 3-1. By no means was it a standout performance or one of Liverpool's best, but they got the job done. I think the key for them is having McAllister and Endo back in that midfield there, and also starting Darwin Núñez from the start. I know he's chaotic, I know he can miss some big chances, but he's a chance creation machine. He just finds ways to get others involved, get himself involved, and he's always a threat for that back line, running in behind, holding the ball up, spinning past defenders, using his pace and his power. So I absolutely believe that you need to start this guy. I know right now for Liverpool there's a lot going on off the pitch in terms of injuries. You've got Trent now that will miss the Carabao Cup final, but you get Alisson and you get Gomez back from illness. I expect Conor Bradley to be a great job there at right back. Before Trent came in, Conor Bradley was doing a great job there as well. So I think they've got enough cavalry there to hold up. Mo Salah's coming back around the corner. It's just one of those games here. You just got to make sure you get the win and move on. I think they're going through a little bit of a downturn at the moment. They can keep winning games of football, keep moving towards that City game as probably the big game in terms of that could be the title decider. I back Liverpool in this season. They're a very confident side. They're playing for the manager. It's his last season there. There's a chance for them to really turn it around here. A big result away to Brentford, an informed Brentford, will do massive for their confidence this season. As such, I think Liverpool get the win here. Too much quality. I have too much belief in them as well. I've got Liverpool winning this game 3-1. Might be a tough opening 60 minutes to 70 minutes, but their quality will shine through in the end. And as such, I predict a Liverpool 3-1 win. Our next game sees Burnley host Arsenal in what looks to be a pretty one-sided affair, to be honest with you. Burnley are playing some much better football at the moment. I've touched on it the last few weeks. They've sacrificed that ball-playing, possession style of football to be a bit more compact and spend less time on the ball in like a 30 to 35% possession and try and spring teams on the counter-attack using playmaking from deep positions. I think that Luton's done so well this season. The younger side, though, don't have the quality yet, I guess, to produce on that level. They don't have that Ross Barkley or Sambi Lokonga, that midfield. But Sander Berger, when he's in there, can do a good job. And right now, with David Fofana up front, who's been electric in the last 2 games in terms of creating chances, getting to good positions, alongside Zeki Amdouni, you've got a really dangerous front two. I just think at the moment they're lacking that ability to be clinical in front of goal, and make their chances count. Against Liverpool, they could have easily been 2-1 up at half time if all things had gone well. David Fofana had a few chances after the half-time break as well. You just got to hope that one of these goes in, especially against an Arsenal side, and especially last time out versus Liverpool. You've got to take these chances to keeping yourself in games and potentially escape the drop. Because right now, their lack of ability to be clinical in front of goal, and they're struggling in terms of defensively, is going to hurt them in terms of staying up. The defensive struggles are sort of being cleaned up a little bit, but going forward, you've got to be more clinical. You're not going to get 10 to 12 chances. You're going to get probably 3 or 4 at max, especially against this Arsenal side as well. He's in great form at the moment. They're probably playing the best football they've played all season. Ødegaard's back to his best level. Saka continues to perform. Declan Rice is performing at a great level as well. That back four looks solid as a rock once again, like we saw at the start of the season. It's all going in the right direction here at the moment for Arsenal. They come off that massive 6-0 win versus West Ham. They've won 4 in a row. They've all been quite convincingly since that 2-1 loss to Fulham. And as such, I think I can see them putting Burnley to the sword. I'm predicting a 3-0 Arsenal win. I think they'll blow them out of the water because Burnley will try and be compact and limit the amount of opportunities. But if I'm Burnley, be compact, force Arsenal to play slow, because that's the only way I can see them not winning this game of football. Because right now Arsenal are flowing, they're rolling, and the momentum's all going in the right favour for Arsenal at the moment. Our next game sees us back in London as Fulham host Bournemouth. Another very interesting affair with Fulham, the yo-yo team at the moment. I say every week, I don't know how to read them. They go and produce a great performance versus Bournemouth last time out. A massive 3-1 win. They capitalised on mistakes. They were good on the counter-attack. They were clinical in front of goal. And Muniz is scoring goals. We saw they had a little good upturn, 3 or 4 games when Raul Jimenez was scoring goals. That was ended by him getting that red card. And then we see Muniz here, 3 goals in 2 games. Obviously, they were unlucky against Burnley not to get the result there. They come back for a draw. But then they play a great performance there versus Bournemouth and put up a 3-1 win at home. So I really don't know how to read them at the moment. They're obviously a team that's very inconsistent, and you'll get that because you've got a lot of inconsistent type players they've got in their side, some Premier League unproven talent. The key to them in most games, though, is scoring goals. Whenever they're scoring goals, they're winning games of football, because their defence hasn't been holding up as solidly as we expected from last season. It hasn't been protected as well by Jarpellini in front of that back four there. So they need goals to keep themselves in games. They can't just sort of grind out results, 1-0s and 2-1s and the like. They're going to have to win games 3 goals to 2 or 2 goals to 1 and stuff like that, or maybe a 4 goal to 3 type game. That's the team that Fulham are this season. When they're scoring goals, they look good. When they don't, they often lose or draw games. So it's very big for them. They continue to feed Muniz, or if Breuer comes in off the bench, he gets some goals as well. You get Willian involved, and Bobby de Cordova-Reid. He's been a very important player, a bit of a live wire for them this season off that flank. He's scored some important goals. He's created some important assists. So another player to keep an eye on if you're Fulham. However, Aston Villa have struggled. I've obviously talked about how they've ended that 13-month unbeaten run at home. They were so good, but now 3 losses at home in a row. A tough loss to Manchester United, 2-1 with the Scott McTominay late winner. They had a great amount of chance in this game. Shots going straight at Onana, good saves from Onana. But if you're Aston Villa and you want to be one of those top teams, you've got to put Man United to the sword there. They sat back from the 20th minute onwards, and you've got to score 2 or 3 past them if you're going to be a top side. Missing too many chances, not being clinical enough in front of goal. And the midfield did a really good job, but what they've been doing in the past was flooding forward and creating chances and scoring themselves in midfield areas, create the overflows in wide areas. It's not quite the same Villa team we saw a few weeks ago. And people have been talking about how Emery sort of fell apart at Arsenal. Is it the same thing here with Aston Villa? I don't think so. There's enough world-class talent in this team to turn things around, but right now the pressure is on Villa. If I'm them, get a good start early on Fulham, get an early goal, feed the ball to Bailey, feed the ball to Watkins, get these guys early chances, get them on the score sheet, and just reinstill that confidence in the side. Obviously, a big loss is Kamara. He appears to be out for the season now with a knee injury. I think he's been so important for this side. But it sees Yuri Tielemans jump into midfield, now alongside John McGinn and Douglas Luiz. So still another great midfield trio. You've got a really solid back line. You just need to create more chances and be more clinical in front of goal. I can see Aston Villa bouncing back with a good performance here. I've got them win this game 3-0. We obviously know how good Villa can be, and we know how much of a yo-yoing side that Fulham can be as well. As such, 3-0 win for Aston Villa for me. Our next game is up north as Newcastle host Bournemouth. Another very interesting game. One team looking to bounce back, one team looking to extend their momentum. Newcastle obviously coming off a very important 3-2 win at the City Ground versus Nottingham Forest. You're seeing Kieran Trippier back in some good form. Big contribution from the back line. And what it is right now is goal scoring from that front three, which is really, really important, or chance creation. I think Gordon this year has been very impressive in that front three in terms of creating chances. Callum Wilson stepping up and Isaac's injury shadow. And at the moment, Almiron doing enough for me to hold on to his spot and still make an impact in this team. You've got Bruno Guimaraes probably holding everything together at the moment. He's been ridiculous for them in midfield. And Lewis Miley continues to step up alongside Sean Longstaff in that midfield there. There's not many players you can rotate in and out of this squad. I think this is the squad they'll go with for the rest of the season. So if we can see the continual improvement in performances at the moment. Bruno's performing at a high level. Kieran Trippier seems to be back. Callum Wilson and Gordon will always give you 110%. So if that back line can lift up to the standards, if the midfielders can also follow that as well, because there's definitely promise in this season for Newcastle. They could go and make a late run at Europa League or Champions League football. It's there for them to grab. They just need to be more consistent, and it starts here at home versus Bournemouth. I think for them, another good early start, get on the board early and pressure Bournemouth early on. Bournemouth are going to play in possession. They're going to try and pass it around Newcastle, trying to absorb as much pressure by having the ball at their feet. And especially with that Newcastle crowd, get involved early, get a goal early and get on top, because we know that Geordie crowd will get absolutely up and about if a goal ends up early on. If you're Bournemouth, it went from being the most informed team to one of the most out-of-form teams. They've only got 2 points in the last 5 games. They're back amongst the bottom half now. But I still see signs there of the ability to go and push on a little bit. You've got Dom Solanke, who's had a lack of chances in recent weeks. The wingers haven't been their electric selves, and they've struggled in terms of keeping possession and having positive possession. Less of this side-to-side stuff, more progressive. It needs some more progressive possession and lock teams away, especially against Newcastle. If they can really pressure this back line, it's been shaky at times. They conceded 2 versus Nottingham Forest. Use some pace, whether it be Semenyo on the flanks, whether it be Tavernier out there or Justin Kluivert out there. Use the pace. We saw Alanga and Hudson-Odoi get at Newcastle last time out. Be aggressive in trying to use the flanks, use the pace, and then try and feed Dom Solanke. He hasn't had many chances in recent weeks. That's why the goals have not come as easy. I think this game is a great opportunity to turn your season back around. It's going to be a lot of hard work. As such, I still see Newcastle winning this game. Got them winning this game 3-1. I think they have too much talent. They've got too much form at the moment, and being at home is a big plus for them. As such, as I see a 3-1 Newcastle win. Our next game is at the City Ground. It's Nottingham Forest hosting West Ham United. Nottingham Forest at the moment seem to have turned things around a little bit. They're willing to give up possession a little bit more and play and use their pacey players like Hudson-Odoi and Alanga to really get at teams on the counter-attack, press teams when they need to. And that midfield duo of Dominguez and Yates at the moment, I've got to fair play to Nuno. That's a great midfield duo. In the absence of Sangari, these guys are lifted. I'm a big fan of Ryan Yates, and I feel like that duo midfield, you can't really break that up. It's worked really, really well for them. They might not got the results they wanted, but the performances have improved. And as such, when the out-of-form West Ham side come to the City Ground, I think they can get on top of them here. Obviously, West Ham still likely to miss Paqueta. Going to rely on Kudus and Bowen again. But we've seen in recent weeks, the way to get at West Ham is limit the chances Bowen gets by being physical with him. Chuck the big, heavy centre-backs on him and force it to be uncomfortable for him. Not give him any chances, because West Ham are really without a strike at the moment. Bowen isn't a striking option if you play physical. It all relies on Kudus to create for himself, and that's not really going to work. And at the moment, they just seem to be lacking all sort of confidence. They are not their best without the ball. They used to be their strength being without the ball, but the defence isn't holding up. When they have possession, they can't create enough meaningful possession and to break teams down at the moment. They're just stuck in between. And the 6-0 loss sort of summarises a tough start to 2024. Yet to win so far this year. Struggling in all capacities. They need Paqueta to come back to help create for them. But if he's not back for this game, I can only see this game going one way, and that's Nottingham Forest getting the win, because they'll allow West Ham to have the ball, they'll counter them and expose the lack of pace in that back line with Alanga and Hudson-Odoi. So, 1 year back as well, you can imagine him getting in the goals as well. I think at the moment there's two teams going in different ways. West Ham looking more like a mid-table side, and Nottingham Forest looking like they're trying to escape that bottom scrap for relegation. As such, I've only got this game going with Nottingham Forest win. I've got a 2-1 Nottingham Forest win in this game. Our next game is back in London. Spurs are once again at home hosting Wolves in what I can only say is going one way in this game here. Spurs have all their players back, all the cavalry is back. You've got Son back, Madison's back. The back four is established once again. And with Papsam, Bentancur, alongside Madison at midfield there, I think they'll tear Wolves to shreds. Obviously, Wolves are a very good team. They can play with the ball, play without the ball, and they're very stylish going forward. But Tottenham right now have got all the answers. You've got Richarlison's in great form. Heung-min Son will be back and firing. Brennan Johnson with a late winner last time out versus Brighton. You've got Kulusevski there as well. There's just so much talent in this side, and they create so many chances. They could have easily lost the game or easily blown out that game and smashed Brighton. It's just the way they play their football at the moment. There's going to be goals, there's going to be excitement, and most often than not, Tottenham get on top of teams and win games of football. And I think as much as Wolves will try and keep up with the pace of Tottenham, it'll just be too much for them. And especially the back line now, it looks more established, it looks more solid. And Vicario in goal basically saves you 2 goals a game with how good he's been recently. So, I can only see Spurs getting on top in this game. If Wolves get anything out of this game, it's going to be Cunha, Sarabia, and Neto. Those 3 up top to be clinical, to create chances, to be tricky when they get the ball in the counter-attack, especially Cunha. Hold the ball up, allow the cavalry to join him, and then try and use Neto and Sarabia in those 3s to try and break Tottenham apart. It's obviously going to be a counter-attacking game for Wolves with the way Tottenham plays, but I think Tottenham have just got too many answers and too many superstars in this game to not win this game of football. We've got Spurs winning this game 3-0 at home, and really starting a good run here towards the back end of the season. Our next game is probably the biggest one of the weekend. It's Manchester City hosting Chelsea in what should be the blockbuster game, but I don't see it having a blockbuster type performance. I think Man City run rings around Chelsea at the moment. Man City at home have been relentless. They've now won 11 in a row, including the Champions League win midweek versus Copenhagen. De Bruyne is back and firing. He has, I think, 8 or 7 goals and assists in his first 7 games back. Haaland gets his double on the weekend to win a tough game versus Everton. And at the moment, just seems like nothing can stop them. The back line looks set. The midfield, when you got Bernardo Silva in there alongside Kevin De Bruyne, alongside Rodri. Matheus Nunes can drop in there as well. Phil Foden's firing on the flank and then in the number 10 as well. There's just so much firepower in this City team, and as much as Chelsea had a good win versus Palace last time out, we can't ignore the fact that it took them to the 92nd or 91st minute to get that second goal. And it was a Conor Gallagher masterclass in that game there. He came back to haunt his former side, and he had a great performance in that game there. All over the park, getting the 2 goals, Enzo finishing it all off. And I know Chelsea are in a Carabao Cup final and through in the FA Cup, and they won a close one against Crystal Palace. But if you're listening to what I'm saying here, they're beating Crystal Palace in the last minute. They struggled to really break them down and score more goals during regulation time. So it goes to show that this Chelsea team isn't up to it, isn't up to the standard, especially not to Man City standard. Back end of the season, Man City is a different kettle of fish, a different animal. As such, I can only see this game going one way. I wish it could have made it out to be a closer game, but Chelsea just struggling at the moment. It's been covered up by a late win there and going through on a cup, but they're still not quite at even, I guess, a Manchester United or Newcastle level at the moment. And City are in a whole world of their own. So I only see City extending their home really strong record. I got them win this game 4-1 over Chelsea. The next game is Sheffield United, who host Brighton. And once again, I've got to see really going one way. I said there's a lot against Sheffield United, and fair play to them. They got a great result last time out versus Luton. Away from home, against an informed Luton. All respect to them. They took it to them. They didn't have much of the ball. They didn't have too many chances, but I respect their ability to go and throw some numbers forward and try and create off any sort of ball they won in any possession that turned over. They were going to throw numbers forward, trying to counter-attack and trying to secure the win. They got that win. It was very important for them. They're now at least in the mix to stay up. I don't think they're anywhere near staying up, and especially against these bigger teams like Brighton. I just don't think they have anything to really match that, because they're going to have to be like they were versus Luton, but 10 times better, because Brighton were very good versus Spurs last time out. They'll feel hard done by. They didn't get anything from that game because of how good Vicario was They just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, it seemed. But once again, in this game here, you're going to look for them to really make a statement. They've struggled in recent weeks despite having some better performances. They've only got one win in their last 5 games. It's a bit of consistency. I know the performances have gotten better, but the results show. And they're stuck in their own sort of own world at the moment. That mid-table bracket alongside West Ham and Wolves will consider join that 3 as well. I think Brighton have higher expectations to go and push and at least try and threaten Conference League or Europa League football. They definitely can with the players they've got. I think this game you're going to want to see Ferguson from the start. Let the youngster try and expose the Sheffield United backline. Matoma from the early moments, getting the ball, let him drive at defenders. That Pascal Gross, Billy Gilmore midfield. Let them get in control of this game, because once Brighton get a hold of any game, we saw what they did versus Crystal Palace. It's all one-way traffic when it's Bonanotte getting involved. João Pedro can get involved as well. But I think in this game, start Evan Ferguson. Let him show what he's all about. Use that physicality, use that pace, and use that ability to be clinical in front of goal. Nothing away from Danny Welbeck. A great performer against big clubs and a smart footballer, but Evan Ferguson is a pure goal scorer. Get him in from the start. Get Matoma and Gross on these guys trying to feed him the ball and let him go to work. And if so, I can see Brighton running away with this game. I'm predicting a 4-0 win for Brighton. One of those games where they just get a scruff hold of the game and dominate from the start to finish. And they're definitely going to need this result if they want to push on to try and get some Conference League football this season. Our penultimate game of the weekend sees Luton hosting Manchester United. And boy, Luton want to be bouncing back after last week's performance. Wasn't great. They had some moments, but not good enough for a Luton side that I was seeing pushing on and away from the relegation zone. They missed a great opportunity there to put 4 points on Everton and to separate themselves from that bottom 3. But that loss to Sheffield United brings them right back into that bottom 3 race. And it was a poor performance. It was a performance that they didn't really get in control of the game at any points in time. Yeah, they had a few shots. Yeah, they had a lot of possession, but you got to do something with it. I say it with a lot of teams. It's all good having possession, but you got to do something with that. And they didn't do it in that game there. But we know how good they can be at home versus the big boys. Big clubs struggle with the dimensions and how tight and on top of you the crowd is, and the pitch is a bit smaller at Luton. And Luton with their pressing style of football, we see it work against Brighton at times versus City when they really spring that high press on their team. They can catch them off guard. Obviously with Manchester United with their total revolving door of centre-back partnerships and defensive lines, you could catch them out. And I think for Luton, you've got to utilise that creation from deep line positions with Ross Barkley in there and Sambi Lokonga breaking up the play, and then using Adebayo up top alongside Carlton Morris. That's the way they're going to get into Manchester United. Try and expose and win the ball back in midfield and then spring the counter from that deep line position there. Because Ross Barkley and Luton have been at their best when he's on the ball and he's creating from midfield or rolling forward to create some chances. And then allow those fullbacks of Bene and Doughty to push forward, overload the wide positions and try and catch Man United off guard, cross into the box, put pressure on that back line, and potentially can get something out of this game. Whereas for Manchester United, come up for a very important 2-1 win versus Aston Villa. A great 20 minutes that have created the win with Haaland getting the early goal and obviously Scott McTominay securing the late winner. But again, they sat back for 20 minutes onwards and they allowed pressure on and eventually teams to score. Aston Villa scored, Wolves scored, West Ham could have scored when you're sitting in it trying to absorb pressure. I think for Manchester United, continue to attack, continue to start and continue to start the game like you have been, but then continue to play that style of football. Keep being on the front foot. Keep feeding that front three, because that front three right now seems to be connected and playing some great football. Rashford, Højlund, and Garnacho. You bring Amad Diallo hopefully on as well for some more play time as well. Even Anthony, if he gets an introduction as well. Really try to expose the back line. And then in the midfield as well. So well balanced them out with Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro, and Manu in there as well. Obviously Luke Shaw, Martinez will be missing, so there'll be a whole new defensive line once again. But back Manchester United in. The current momentum they're on, the form, 4 wins in a row at the moment, 3 wins in a row in the Premier League. A few good away from home wins, and hopefully that will carry the momentum onto this game here. It'll definitely be tight, it'll be nitty and gritty, but I think United will just get over the line this one here. I've got Manchester United winning this game at 2-1. Our final game of the match week sees Everton hosting Crystal Palace in what is a massive relegation 6-pointer. Everton currently in the drop zone, Crystal Palace not too far away from the drop zone as well, and currently in some really poor form. For Everton, yeah, they haven't got the results in recent weeks, but 2 points in the last 3 games doesn't really show what they've been doing. They've played some really good performances. They're putting some good shifts, especially against Manchester City. For the first 55 to 60 minutes, they made it hard for City. They kept it 0-0. And obviously, the remarkable De Bruyne comes on, and obviously Haaland gets some very impressive 2 goals. So there's only so much you can do if you're Everton. But in this game here versus Crystal Palace, who are out of form, this is the chance to get out of the bottom 3, get a big statement win, and push yourself up into the safety spots. In this game here, you're going to want that same sort of tight compactness without the ball, but then you have the opportunity to throw some numbers forward when you have the ball at your feet. Allow Dwight McNeil and the Harrisons of the world to try and create, get them more time in forward areas, to flood more numbers into the box, help Dominic Calvert-Lewin out there as well. The only one I have to put pressure on is Dominic Calvert-Lewin in this game. He needs a lift. A poor performance versus Man City. I know he didn't get many chances, but didn't hold the ball up well. Didn't create time for Everton to sort of get numbers flooded forward. In this game here, he needs to be a bit better. Finishing in front of goal, holding the play up. It's going to help Everton out so much. For Crystal Palace, as and Elise have always their keys. I always said this, and without them, they look a shadow themselves. But, in recent weeks, they haven't been good defensively. And defensively, the identity was to be sold at the back and then just go and score for fun last season. At the end of the last season, that's why they were so successful. They were so sold at the back, and they allowed their forwards to go and be creative and create chances and score goals. I'd like to see Ed Wide start from the start here, change it up from Mateta, a bit more of a physical player, and I think a bit more of a clinical finisher in the final third, and then tighten up defensively, because 14 goals conceded in their last 4 Premier League games paints the picture. You can only be so good as your defence, I think, in many regards, especially with this Crystal Palace side. Without Elise and Eze, you need to be sold at the back, you need to deny chances, and you need to limit the opportunities oppositions have in the final third. Force them to take long shots, force them to have a lot of sideways possession. Don't allow them to get in your back line there, get in behind your defensive line and score goals for fun. That's what you're going to start with. If I'm Crystal Palace, I'll take a 1-1 draw or a scoreless draw in this game. They just got to stay afloat at the moment because the pressure is building game after game and performances are getting worse and worse. I think Everton, with the confidence they've got from recent performances, I think they'll get over the line, especially being at home. Got Everton winning this game 2-1 over Crystal Palace, adding more pressure onto Roy Hodgson. So that brings my predictions for Matchweek 25 to an end, ladies and gents. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What's your favourite game of the weekend? How do you think of my predictions? And how do you think your team will go on the weekend? If you did enjoy the video, guys, please remember to like it. Subscribe to the Players Own channel for more content like this. Also, share the channel with mates as well. That would be much appreciated. As I said, we are so close to 400 subscribers, so any subscribers from this video will be much appreciated. That all being said, ladies and gents, hope you enjoy the weekend's football action. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in another video very, very soon. Until then, guys, see you later.